was one of those gray, windy afternoons in Georgia, when the clouds hang low and the air smells of rain and gasoline. Angela Brown had just finished her shift at the diner. Her feet ached from 10 hours of standing, but her heart was calm. The kind of calm you get when you know you've done your best to make an honest living. Angela was a single mother, raising her 14-year-old son, Marcus. Life hadn't been easy since her husband walked out years ago, but Angela had learned to smile through the pain. She worked 2 jobs, kept the bills barely paid, and still managed to cook dinner every night. She believed in small kindnesses, a smile, a helping hand, a little mercy for strangers. That evening, she stopped by a gas station on the edge of town. Her old sedan was running on fumes. She pulled in, filled up the tank, and was just about to drive off when she noticed something. A large, tattooed man standing beside a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, patting his pockets in frustration. He wore a black leather vest with a red and white patch that read, "Hell's Angels, San Bernardino." Angela froze. Everyone had heard stories about them. Tough bikers, rough men living by their own rules. The kind of people you didn't mess with. The man muttered something under his breath and looked toward the gas pump. Then he kicked a small rock in frustration. His motorcycle looked fierce, but right now the rider looked defeated. Angela watched for a moment. Something inside her whispered, "Don't get involved. Just go home." But another voice, stronger, warmer, said, "He's human too." Taking a deep breath, she stepped out of her car and walked toward him. "Everything all right, sir?" she asked gently. The man turned. He was tall, maybe 6'3", with a beard streaked with gray, eyes hidden behind dark glasses, and tattoos crawling up his arms. He looked dangerous, but his tone was soft. Yeah, just ran out of cash," he said. "Forgot my wallet at the diner I stopped at. Can't even call anyone right now, my phone's dead." Angela nodded slowly. "That's rough." He gave a half smile. "Yeah, story of my life." She hesitated for a moment, then pulled out her debit card. "Let me help you out," she said. The man blinked. "You serious?" Angela nodded. "We all need a little help sometimes." He stared at her like he didn't believe what he'd heard. Then he said quietly, "You don't know who I am, do you?" Angela smiled. "Don't need to. You're someone who needs gas, right?" He chuckled. "Lady, you've got guts." She swiped her card and started pumping gas into his Harley. He stood beside her, silent. The rain began to fall lightly, drops tapping against the tank. When it was done, he took a deep breath. "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing," she said. "Just pay it forward someday." He tilted his head. "You don't know what kind of man you're talking to." Angela smiled softly. "I don't need to. I just believe what goes around comes around." For a long second, he said nothing, just looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. Then he nodded. "My name's Hawk," he said finally. "Hawk?" she repeated. "Yeah, my brothers call me that." "What's your name?" "Angela," he smiled. "Fitting. You kind of look like one right now." Angela laughed nervously. "All right, Hawk, you have a safe ride, okay?" He nodded, started the engine, and roared off into the night. The next morning, Angela didn't think much about it. She got Marcus ready for school, made him breakfast, and went to work. But a strange unease lingered in her chest. At lunch, her co-worker Dana noticed her silence. "You okay, Angie?" Angela nodded. "Yeah. Just thinking. Met someone strange last night." Dana raised an eyebrow. "Strange how?" Angela hesitated. "Big biker guy. Said he was a Hell's Angel." Dana's eyes widened. "Girl, you didn't talk to him, did you?" "I did more than talk. I paid for his gas." Dana dropped her fork. "You what?" Angela laughed awkwardly. "He looked like he needed help. Or like he could rob a bank." "Angie, those guys are trouble. You should be careful." Angela just smiled faintly. "Maybe. But sometimes people just need someone to trust them." That night when she got home, Marcus was sitting on the porch doing homework. "Hey, Mom," he said. "Someone came by earlier." Angela frowned. "Who?" He shrugged. "Didn't say. Just dropped off this envelope." Angela took the envelope, her hands trembling slightly. Inside was a note written in neat block letters. "Thanks for the gas. I owe you one. Hawk." And there was a $100 bill folded inside. Angela gasped. She looked around, but the street was empty. Marcus asked, "Who's Hawk?" "Just someone I helped yesterday," she said softly. Tucking the envelope away, she didn't tell anyone else about it. 3 nights later, She heard the sound of motorcycles, deep, thunderous, coming down her quiet suburban street. Marcus ran to the window. "Mom!" "What's that?" Angela's stomach tightened. The rumbling grew louder until she saw it. A line of motorcycles, maybe 10 or 12, pulling up in front of her house. Each one gleamed under the streetlights, chrome shining like lightning. The men wore the same leather jackets, Hell's Angels. Angela froze. Marcus whispered, "Mom, are we in trouble?" Before she could answer, someone knocked on the door. Firm, slow, deliberate, Angela opened it just a crack. Standing there was Hawk, smiling under the glow of his headlight. "Evening, Angela," he said. "Hope we didn't scare you." Her voice trembled. "What's going on?" He took off his sunglasses. "You helped me when I was down. My brothers wanted to meet the woman who reminded us that kindness still exists." Behind him, a dozen men nodded respectfully. One of them held a bouquet of flowers. Another carried a basket full of groceries. Angela blinked, speechless. You didn't have to do this," Hawk smiled. "Maybe not. But people like you don't come around often." Marcus peeked out from behind her. "Mom, they brought food." Everyone laughed softly. Hawk said, "Told you we're not as scary as the news makes us sound." And in that moment, Angela realized something. Behind the tattoos, the leather, and the engines, they were just people. People who remembered what kindness felt like. Angela stood frozen at her doorway, the rumble of engines still echoing in her chest. The night air was heavy with gasoline and rain, the glow of headlights washing over her porch. Hawk stood there, helmet in hand, his weathered face surprisingly gentle. The men behind him, leather vests, tattoos, rough hands, were quiet, waiting. They didn't look angry. They looked respectful. Angela's voice shook slightly. "Hawk."
"What is this?"
He smiled faintly. "Told my brothers about you. About what you did. They wanted to meet the woman who helped one of us when no one else would." Angela blinked, speechless. I just paid for gas." "Exactly," he said. "You didn't know me." "You didn't owe me anything, but you helped. That means something to us." Marcus peeked out again, wide-eyed but smiling now. "Mom, they brought stuff. Like food and flowers." Angela stepped outside, heart pounding. One biker, a tall man with long braids, handed her a big basket full of groceries. Another handed Marcus a small toy Harley motorcycle. "From the brothers," he said gruffly. Angela didn't know what to say. "I don't deserve this." Hawk's eyes softened. "Maybe not in your eyes, but in ours you do." The sound of thunder cracked overhead as rain began to fall again, and the bikers moved quickly, setting the groceries inside her porch. They worked together quietly, politely, nothing like the stories people told about them. Angela finally asked, "Why are you really doing this?" Hawk looked away for a moment, then said quietly, "Because you saved me." Angela frowned. "Saved you? I just paid for your gas." He took a deep breath. "You don't understand. I was on my way to do something stupid that night. Lost a brother a few weeks ago. We were close. I'd been drinking, angry, ready to ride straight into whatever came next. I had nothing left in me." He looked her straight in the eye. "Then you showed up. You didn't ask who I was, didn't judge me, didn't flinch when you saw my patch. You just helped. You reminded me that there's still good left out there." Angela's heart twisted. The man who'd looked so intimidating at that gas station had actually been lost, broken. Hawk continued. "That little moment, it hit me hard. I went home that night and thought about my life, my brothers, what I've become. The next morning I told the club. We decided to come see you, not to scare you, but to thank you." Angela's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Hawk." "I didn't know," he nodded. "You weren't supposed to. You just did what was right." For a moment, the only sound was rain and engines ticking as they cooled. Marcus spoke up, voice small. "So, you guys aren't bad people?" The bikers laughed softly. One of them said, "Nah, kid. We just look scary so no one messes with us." Angela laughed through her tears. Hawk grinned. "Sometimes the world needs a reminder that tough guys can have hearts too." A week passed. The visit became the talk of the neighborhood. People whispered, stared, even called her the woman the Hell's Angels visited. Dana from the diner called one night, half scolding, half curious. "Angie, what did you do?" "People are saying a biker gang came to your house with food." Angela chuckled. "They're not a gang, Dana. They're just men with a different way of living." Dana paused. You're something else, girl. You find kindness where nobody dares look. Angela smiled. Maybe that's the secret. We all wear armor. Some of us just wear leather. One Saturday morning, Angela was working in her small garden when she heard that familiar roar again. A single motorcycle this time. Hawk pulled up, parking his Harley by the curb. She smiled. Back again? He grinned. Told you I owed you one. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is for Marcus. Angela frowned. What is it? Scholarship form. We've got a veterans charity. We raise money for kids who've lost parents or for single moms trying to keep their kids in school. We want to sponsor Marcus's tuition for the next 2 years. Angela's hand flew to her mouth. Hawk, I can't accept that. You can, he said firmly. Because you already gave something money can't buy. Tears welled in her eyes as she hugged him without thinking. Thank you. Thank you so much. He froze for a second, surprised, then chuckled softly and hugged her back. You're one of us now, Angela. Not by patch, but by heart. Later that night, Marcus sat beside his mother on the porch, watching the sunset fade into deep orange. Mom, he said quietly, when Dad left, you told me that sometimes people just forget how to be kind. She nodded. Yeah, I remember. He smiled. Maybe you reminded them again. Angela looked out at the road where the bikers had stood a week before and whispered, maybe kindness travels faster than we think. Months passed. Life moved on, but Angela's porch never stayed empty for long. Once in a while, a Harley would pull up. Sometimes it was Hawk, sometimes one of his brothers. They'd bring flowers, tools to fix her fence, even toys for the neighborhood kids. People began to see them differently. The fear that once filled the street turned into respect. Angela's small act of kindness had rippled through the community, one heart at a time. One summer evening, Hawk came again, his face thoughtful. Angela, he said, we're heading out west. Big ride for charity. Thought we'd stop by one last time. Angela smiled sadly. I'll miss the noise, he laughed. You'll hear us again someday. Angels always circle back. Before leaving, he took off a small patch from his vest. Not the Hells Angels insignia, but a smaller one stitched above it that read, Respect. He handed it to her. You earned this. Angela held it gently, eyes glistening. Thank you, Hawk. Ride safe. He nodded, started his bike, and with a deep roar, the group disappeared into the horizon, engines fading into the wind. Angela stood there, holding the patch against her heart. She whispered, one act of kindness can change everything. And somewhere far down the highway, the sound of motorcycles echoed like a heartbeat, steady, strong, alive. Moral of the story, kindness costs nothing, yet its value is beyond measure. Angela's simple gesture of helping a stranger didn't just fill a gas tank. It reignited humanity in men who the world had forgotten to believe in.